When you're starting a business that's going to impact millions and millions and maybe even more lives, then there's one thing that you need to have. No matter what your idea is, no matter what your product is, no matter who your audience is, you need one thing. Can you guess what that one thing is? It is a massive unsolved problem. There needs to be a problem, okay? I made the mistake early in my business of creating products that I wanted to create. And because I created it only for me and what I thought people wanted, the products did okay, but they were never completely profitable. And I was working a lot harder than I had to in order to serve the people that I wanted to serve. And today, our guest, Mr. Luis Manta, who is the founder of Seoul Juice. We're going to talk all about what Seoul Juice is. There was a massive problem that he had set out to solve. And rather than just keep the idea in his head, rather than just solve the problem for himself, he decided to bring this solution to the problem to the market. And that has resulted in Seoul Juice becoming a hugely shipped commodity in California and slowly spreading across the United States and the world. And we're going to talk all about what that looks like. So today you're going to learn how to take this idea in your head and turn it into an actionable business that serves people. Before we bring on Luis, you know the deal. You're the biggest part of the Be Better broadcast team. Because of you, we've grown the way that we have without sponsors, without ads. And all we ask is that when you take away a piece of advice or strategy or insight or something that made you think, or maybe we even made you smile, share the show with just one person. Share it on social, share it with them personally, share it on the streets, share it in the club, wherever you are. You're the reason we've grown so much, and I'm grateful to you for that. So without further ado, let's talk to our man of the hour. It is 7 a.m. over there in California. We are talking to Luis Manta. And for those who don't know Luis, he is the CEO and founder of Seoul Juice, a Korean pear juice that is as healthy as it is tasty. And I attest to that. That is true. And it has been a top-selling product across the state of California since its launch. Luis, I'm glad we made this happen, brother. Welcome to the broadcast.
Brandon, thanks for having me, man. Stoked to be here. Fan of the podcast. Excited to talk to people about Seoul Juice and starting businesses and brands and scaling. Exciting stuff.
I'm pumped to have you too, man, because you created Seoul Juice out of a need that you had for yourself. And I want to dive into that story here in a minute. But number one, dude, Seoul Juice, it's freaking incredible. It tastes really good. And let me tell you, you don't like coconut water, and that's a big proponent of where Seoul Juice came from. I'll still drink coconut water, but if I had to reach for a coconut water or a Seoul Juice, I would reach for the Seoul Juice. The reason why is, I'll tell you this, I had a plan of bringing one on the show and just showing the bottle to everybody. I'm sure you've got one, and you've got the mascot behind you.
Yeah,
but I had them in the fridge. Yep, there it is. And I had a 6-pack of them, right? And I was drinking them, and I'm like, I got to make these last for 2 months, man. I literally made them last for maybe a week and a half. I brought one to the office, let everyone taste it in the office. And then I had one in there that was in there for 2 weeks in the fridge still in the back, so I wouldn't grab it. And I went outside for a run, and it was one of the first warm days here in upstate New York. And dude, I was beat. And I was like, nothing is going to satisfy my thirst right now. Water's not going to do it. You know that feeling when you take a drink and you're really exhausted and you're like, oh my God, that just hit. I wasn't getting that from water, dude. So I literally was like, I need the Seoul Juice, and I drank it, and I felt freaking incredible. So thank you for making the product, man. I'm a proponent of it, and I'm grateful that you sent some over to me.
I absolutely love it. I'll have to get that clip from you and use that as like a consumer like advert for us, because that's awesome. That's exactly why I do it. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're trying to bring to the table for people, is like that feeling, you know, you got that big smile on your face. You're like, did exactly what I needed to do. And that's the kind of value we're trying to bring, is just help people out when they need us. So that's the big thing. It helps a lot. And I'm sure you know too, and people trying to find their niche. Once you have something that you know works, a product that you know works and can help people, it's really easy to sell from there, you know, because you're speaking to how you can help those individuals, how you can bring something to the table. So selling a good product is a lot easier than selling a bad one. So I'm very happy that I get to represent Seoul Juice and bring it to the masses.
Totally. And I love that line of thinking you're going with. It's easy to sell something once once you know that it works, because that builds up the self-belief in you. You've got some people talking about the product like I just did, like it's great, I'll tell people, right? And now you've got proof that the product works. But there was a time when you went out to solve this problem for yourself without having it in your mind that you wanted this to be one of the most popular drinks in California, right? It just became that after people, I'm assuming, drank it, loved it, told other people, and it grew from there. So I want to pick your brain on how you created a business out of this idea to solve your own problem. But for those listening who don't know what Soul Juice is, can you give us a background of where did Soul Juice come from? Like, there's a lot of drinks in all the convenience stores, like literally aisles and aisles and aisles of drinks. Why Soul Juice, and why enter this market?
Yeah, so my sophomore year of college, I was a Division I soccer player, and I took a swig of Gatorade and started breaking out in hives. And I was completely confused because since I was a kid, I was putting this product in my body, these sports drinks that you find on the shelves that all these other athletes drink and you see sponsored. And it was causing me a negative health effect. So in my head, I was like, oh, I'm trying to be healthy, but it's not working. What's the issue? So I went and looked for clean ingredient products. I wanted something that came straight from fruit, came straight from vegetables, something I knew about, something I could pronounce that wasn't super scientific. And the only thing I could find was coconut water. And I absolutely hated coconut water. I'd plug it, chug it, just try and get over it. And that's what I did, honestly, for 6 months to a year. I was not drinking any sports drinks because I was allergic and just plugging my nose, drinking coconut water. And I was like, there has to be a better solution. Because the more people I talk to, the more we're like, yeah, I don't really like coconut water either, but it's one of those things I have to just deal with.
A lot of people say that, by the way. A lot of people don't like coconut water. They are drinking it out of necessity or because they know it's good for them.
Yeah, and that's a lot of health products too. When you see that, when you go, people talk about their green juices or whatever, none of them really talk about how good it tastes. They just go, oh, this does this for you. And I saw that over and over again in the health industry. And I was like, I know there's good tasting, and I'm sure people now have gone to these good tasting restaurants that do very clean ingredients, but it's just harder to find, it's hard to find good tasting health products. And that's when I came across the Korean pear. And in Asia, they were using it as a detox. There's all different types of health benefits with the Asian pear. And I was like, oh, I got to get this here in the US. It cost me $50 to ship a 2-pack over, and on a college budget, I was not about to do that. And my parents grew up in Asia, so I had the Asian Korean pear in the US. I'd eaten it all the time. I knew it tasted good, so I was like, I'm just going to start juicing this in my college dorm room, give it out, and kind of see how it goes. And that was 7 years ago now. So from idea to what you see on shelf in grocery stores in LA, it's come a long way. And that's really come from, the original idea was mine and I needed it for me, but Soul Juice, what it's become now, is what the market and what consumers want. I've shifted and adapted the product to meet what's best for everyone, as opposed to that one, that little spark idea I had in my head has grown, but it's been pretty cool to see the journey.
So this pear that literally comes from Asia, number one, Soul Juice has 3 ingredients, right? It's water, it's the juice from this Korean pear, and it's also lemon, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
So literally 3 ingredients, guys. Like, the packaging is incredible. If I had to describe the taste to you, it's actually how you describe it, literally on the bottle. It tastes like a very, very light apple juice, but a very refreshing apple juice. Like, I won't drink apple juice or orange juice because of the acidity in those things, and because of the way it makes me feel. It gives you like reflux afterwards. You don't get that from this. It's like you're tasting water that has a flavor, but it's very refreshing, and a part of your body really, really enjoys it. It's like when you're really craving something and you take a bite of the thing that you're craving and you're like, oh my God, this is just fulfilling that need. This is giving your body what it needs. So my question is this pear used in Asian countries? Like you mentioned, it's used for medicinal purposes, but is this something that people are drinking there in a way, but it just hasn't been seen or used in the American market?
Yeah, so it's considered a delicacy in all of Asia. So China, Japan, and Korea, it's considered a gift pear, and you can get it at grocery stores here in the U.S. too, like a Ralph's or Kroger type store. Whole Foods will have them. People can try out the actual pear, but no one in the U.S. is selling it as a juice, and in Asia they do. So the juice is used for detoxes. A huge thing in Korea, because they drink quite a bit, is for a hangover cure, because it does such a good job of hydrating and detoxing you. So it's very popular in Korea, especially, and that's kind of where I was like, oh, this just makes sense to be in the US. Similar to coconut water, how coconut water was big in Brazil and the Philippines and Indonesia, and then a couple people were like, hey, this would just make sense in the US. That's kind of what we're doing. We formulated it a bit more to be more sports hydrating as opposed to being like a shot. In Korea, I think they do like 10-ounce type shots
I
where they
could do
take
just
it.
a shot, man. I'd want more.
That yeah, and it's more functional now. You know, you have a full 500 milliliter bottle to carry around with you, take to the gym. I wanted it to appeal to athletes, so they were like you said, you went on a long run, you were thirsty, you needed to rehydrate. You know, you need a certain amount of liquid in order to get that hydrating quality. Whereas like a shot, even though it is beneficial, you don't quench your thirst. That was the goal of mine, was to quench people's thirst when they were out and about doing things.
Yeah. Okay. So you said to yourself, I'm gonna source some of these pears. I'm gonna juice them myself in my college dorm. Like this sounds like an Apple or Microsoft story, dude. It really does. Like not a garage, but a college dorm. I guess it's more like a Zuckerberg story. You know, the college aspect of it. So you start drinking this for you, and you're a giving person. So you're like, hey guys, try this. Like, did you have a name for it when you first started drinking it? Like, what were your thoughts when you first drank it, and what inspired you to start giving it to people?
Yeah, so anyone starting a business, whether you're in college, whether you're a mom with 3 kids, or you have a job right now and you're trying to do it out of your garage, I think the big thing's starting. So just starting, trying something, and I'm sure you can speak to this. Once you get out there, you get a lot of feedback that can then help develop, and you can kind of test the idea, like, hey, do people actually want this, or is this just something crazy? So I really suggest anyone that like has an idea, just go try it, in a small scale, give it to 10 friends for free and get feedback, because your friends will be honest with you. They'll be the ones that be like, hey, this sucks, or like, hey, this is a great idea. Maybe just shift it a little bit like this. So definitely start, no matter where you're at. I'm glad I started in my dorm room passing it out, and I'm really glad I got to give him a shout out. My buddy TJ Decker told me, hey, dude, you got to sell this. Stop giving it out
Wow.
for free. I'll buy it from you. I was just giving it out for free, trying to get people to go out more, like try it out, be like, hey, this is awesome. And he was like, hey, please sell it to me and sell it to everyone else. Stop giving it away for free. And that kind of built it that way. So just go out and try it, charge people for it, figure out what they're willing to pay for, and scale it that way. I highly suggest just trying, because that's a huge. A lot of people you hear that are entrepreneurial have these cool ideas, and a lot of them don't. I say capitalize, but don't go out and try it because they're worried about A thing, B thing. The money's not there. It's just not the right time. I highly suggest just trying, because you'll learn a lot from trying that one thing. And maybe this isn't the right idea. Maybe it forms an idea B, C, or D, but at least you tried something and you learned a lot from it.
That's right. Okay, so shout out to TJ Decker, right?
TJ Decker, yeah.
Awesome. Shout out TJ, because dude, you created a movement here. Now, was any part of your mind saying to you, I could turn this into a business, before he recommended that? And when was the moment that you said, I'm going to actually go all in on this, and I'm going to make this my life's work, at least at this chapter of my life? When was that moment for you?
Yeah, so, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. When I first started Soul Juice, I looked in the mirror and I was a soccer player, right? I spent my entire life becoming a certain level of soccer player. I played on a lot of high level teams, went to South America on trial, played at the best college soccer team in America. And so in my head, I was looking in the mirror like, hey, Luis, you're a soccer player, you're not a business person. So that aspect was always in the back of my head, and I thought about it. I was like, how did I become this high level soccer player? I practiced, I put in work, I did XYZ, I had the right mentality to go forward and do it. So I kind of did that with business as well. I was like, how can I get I want to be at this level. I want to get this product out to everyone else. I know it's going to be extremely difficult. How do I put myself in the best situation to get there? So yeah, in the beginning, I don't know what I'm doing. I had people approach me about raising money. I did some pitch competitions, and I took a step back and said, hey, I'm a pro soccer player. I'm not a pro business person yet.
Mm.
So I went and got a job where I worked at an incubator, developed food programs for Eva Longoria, Tasty BuzzFeed, Chef John Howie, a bunch of big names, where I led development, did the whole thing. And that's when I felt comfortable enough to be like, oh, I'm a professional business person now. Let's launch this and go. And that's why I think it's taken me a long time to get Soul Juice where it is, but I've seen a lot of fast success, and like you've seen, people have seen a lot of fast success, because I think the foundation I put in was correct. You know, I did all the right things, quiet when no one was watching, in order to get this to where it is now. So it's, you have to put the work in, and I had to become a professional business person. You know, I had to listen to podcasts like this. I had to go read books. I had to put myself in situations where I was getting better every day, trying to achieve my goals, so that when I did look in the mirror, or I did go ask people for money, I felt confident, like, hey, this is the best opportunity for them to put their money in, or this buyer needs to take this product and put it on shelf because it's the best product for them and it'll help generate incremental revenue. You know, so thinking of how you can bring benefit to other people by the work you put in is huge, because bringing value is what you want to do, you know?
People don't see that foundation that you're building before the product launches. Like, we see Soul Juice now as what it is, right? And we don't see the hours and hours and hours that you actually put into the business aspect of things. Because again, you had an idea, but great, an idea is awesome. A lot of people have ideas, but if ideas were on the shelves of stores, that, I mean, we couldn't possibly handle it. We all have incredible ideas. And I'm sure people listening have had a really great idea at some point in their life. And they're like, wow, that'd be a really cool invention. I want someone to make that, or maybe I should make that. And then, you know, 3 months later, you go to the store and you see the exact idea that you were talking about. The difference between you and that person is business acumen, one, but it's also drive. And it's also the desire to want to help other people and solve that big problem that we talked about a few minutes ago. But people don't think about you going and working in that incubator and working with these other big brands in order to get this business acumen. Just like with me, when I started speaking, it appeared as if I was already an established speaker. It appeared as if I was just a natural at what I did. But dude, when I was 21, when I decided that, wow, I really love speaking to rooms of people, I sucked, dude. Like, I said, I was disorganized. It was wonky, but it didn't matter because I thought of the people that I was having the conversation with in the room. I wasn't thinking about me, or at least most of me wasn't. But after working at that and moving into positions and roles in the company I was with to speak more in front of people, I joined different groups. I read books, just like you said, and I got better and better and better, so that when I started my business, it's like, oh, Brandon has just always been a motivational speaker. He's always been this personality. But that is the farthest thing from the truth. Even the podcast, starting it last year, like you said, start doing something. I didn't know what it would turn into. I didn't know I would have a set. I didn't know I'd have all these systems in place to make it easy. But things continue to move as long as you continue to move and as long as you continue to grow.
Oh, and I don't know the stats behind the coaching aspect, but I'm sure it's very similar podcasting to CPG world. 9 out of 10 products don't last a year on shelf. So 9 out of 10 CPG products from when they start don't even last 365 days. So I think it's really important to keep that in mind too when you're starting something, that you're probably going to fail. Most people that are doing this are going to fail. You need to take what you can learn from it. You know, the fact, if you have made it a year, if you are doing it and you're struggling right now and you made it a year, pat yourself on the back, like, good, like, hell yeah. You know, you made a year, 90% fail, you made it past that 90% threshold. Now, how can we get to the next point? And I think people that are doing it for the right reasons, I know your journey, you know, and how much work you put into it, and how you've taken outside life aspects and brought them into your practice too, that have helped you out. And I think people need to realize that that's what you need to do. You know, just constantly make yourself a better human every day, and then use that to help your business, whatever you want to do. And whatever you're doing today, it might not be the thing you're doing tomorrow, but the stuff you did today will help you tomorrow if you look at it from that kind of aspect. And I think that's huge. You know, it's just like, hey, go try it. No, you're gonna fail. There's a saying in tech: fail fast. All my tech entrepreneur friends say that. Like, go try something, fail fast, and learn from it, and just build on your career and on your life. You know, and whether it's personal things, you can use that too. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of business things that have helped me in my personal life, and personal things, life things that have helped me in my business life. Just keep trying to become a better human and help bring value to other humans.
That's right. I think Ed Milet had the quote that says, business is the greatest personal development experience that you can possibly go through, because like you said, you're going to be constantly messing up. You're going to fail. You're going to launch something and no one buys it, but eventually people will. And I think a big piece of it too is recognizing and grasping onto what other people are enjoying, and not moving on from there, but saying, how can I make this bigger? How can I scale this to the next level? and you juiced the pears. You created the first rendition of what Seoul Juice was. You gave it to your friends. You realized, I have a business idea here, but I don't quite know business. And I think that that's a big thing that you came to that realization, because some people would have been like, I don't need to know business. I've got a great product. I'm just going to do my best. And they might have figured it out. Right. But you decided, hey, I'm going to step back here. I want to do this the quote unquote right way. And I want to work with other brands and get experience helping them build their business and their company. So my question for you is, during that time that you were working in the incubator, what was one or maybe even two of the biggest realizations that you made when it comes to business through your real life experience in building other brands? What were the two or big takeaways, one or two takeaways that you had from that?
Probably the first thing I probably took away from it is there's no layups in life. So there's no easy shots. Being at an incubator, we had unlimited money, we had unlimited connections, we had some big brand power behind us, and sometimes products still failed. And I would look back at the drawing board and go, we did everything right. I'm not sure why this failed, and really broken it down. So that's the thing just to realize, is even when you think you have everything going for you and it's going to work, there's no layups. It's going to be really hard, and you're going to have to grind. So that was the first thing coming out of the incubator. The second thing probably has to do with storytelling. The storytelling is the best marketing tool I can tell anyone to use, and it has to do with sales. If you don't like sales, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a coach, is huge with sales. Whether you're trying to sell a product, you need to know how to sell. And to be able to sell, you need to know how to storytell. So whatever you're building, make sure you build a story into what you're trying to sell. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's a TED Talk about Maya, which is the concept's most unique yet the same kind of concept. Is you want to introduce things that seem cool but also are easily spread, that people aren't too foreign to try. So an example is Seoul Juice. Is like you said on our bottle, we say, hey, tastes like a less sugary apple juice. That's someone sees that and goes, oh, I've tried apple juice, I like having less sugar in my body, let me try this kind of thing, instead of being, oh, we're Korean pear juice. It's that's something so foreign, it might not have someone try it. But if they go, oh, it's like apple juice, it's called Korean pear juice, they go, oh, I'll give it a try it, and they're like, oh, I actually do now like Korean pear juice. So whatever you're phrasing, try and tell a story about it and make it so people can relate to it and spread that idea. That's probably the best marketing tip that I saw from. I created 7 or 8 brands in the span of 3 years, and the ones that had stories behind them did much better than any other product.
Yeah, I don't know Gatorade story. I don't know, I think it's Vita Coco or
they both actually have a great story, both
okay.
Gatorade and Vita Coco as well. But that's how you see with these products. You see that they have a story as well. It's not just so Soul Juice isn't just a great product. We have a story. Gatorade, I think it was some team in the Florida Gators. I think it was in the 70s or 80s. The Team Physio came up with Gatorade for them, and it helped them win the national championship. So bam, real cool story about Gatorade. We don't know it now because Gatorade's such a big product, but back in the 80s when it first started getting traction, that story I'm sure helped. Vita Coco, you had Michael Kerben. He was dating a Brazilian girl, went and visited her in Brazil. Everyone was drinking coconut water. He's like, why isn't this in the US? Everyone drinks it here. Bought a container, sent it over. So Luis Soul Juice, reaction to red dye number 40, came up with a better product. So that if you see, you have these stories that make it easy for people to retell them to other people. And that's kind of what, as a society, as human beings, that's how we kind of evolved with storytelling. If you go back to cave people and how they wrote on cave dwellings and told people stuff, like it's in our DNA to tell stories. So whatever you're trying to do, try and put it in story form so people can regurgitate it for you, because that's the best form of marketing. I know people ask on your page about marketing stuff. Yeah. Word of mouth marketing is the best one. So like you said, share the podcast. That helps everyone sharing stuff. And when you do put content out, try and put it in somewhat of a story form. 1, so people can digest it better, and 2, so people can retell it, because that's the goal. Whatever you're trying to tell, make sure people can retell it.
That's brilliant. just to recap what you said there, the two main things you took away is there's no layups in life, right? You can have the infinite funds, you can have as much money as you need, but it doesn't mean your product is going to succeed, which is absolutely true. And the second one is tell stories, right? I think I forget who said it, but I constantly think about this. Facts tell, but stories sell. And I love what you said about being able to retell the story to someone else. And even when you're creating content, guys, like you online entrepreneurs and coaches out there, when you're creating content, don't just, say confidence is great. This is how you can be more confident. Hook people in, right? Start with the hook. Make them stop scrolling or wherever they are on social media. Or if you're in conversation at a networking event, say something that gets all 5 people in the group to look at you, right? And then tell a story about how confidence or your product has helped you or helped other people. And the last thing is the call to action, right? So hook, story, call to action. Tell them what you want them to do next, even if it's asking them a question to continue the conversation. If you're in like a networking event, I learned that from the marketing genius of the 21st century, Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels. And it's absolutely true. So anything I'm doing, I'm constantly thinking, how can I tailor this into a story of my own? Or even better, from talking with so many people on the show, how can I tailor this in to a story from someone else that's even more powerful than my own? Like I've told your story to several people already because I think it's such a cool story of you had this issue and you didn't want to keep drinking this stuff that was hurting you. So you created something entirely new and it took off from there. So facts tell, but stories sell. I absolutely love that.
I love that one liner. Facts tell, stories sell too. That's a great one liner.
Now, as you move forward with Soul Juice, what is your vision? What's your vision look like now? So you started it, you wanted to go get more business experience, you got it. Now you're taking that and you're running with it. I'm following you on LinkedIn. I know you're on other platforms as well, which we can talk about. But what's your vision moving forward now? What's next?
So I want to get Soul Juice to as many people as possible to try it. It's this cool product that I want to share with the world. So as many people as I can get it to, which is starting by just getting into retail stores across the nation. We'll launch in Chicago in the next 3 weeks.
Wow.
Dallas within the next 2 months. We have Phoenix and St. Louis ready probably within the next 2 months. So that's the big goal now, is just to share it. So all the people listening to it, if you can try us at souljuice.com, we'll try and get to a store near you. But that's the big goal, and to be able to employ people. We're looking to hire right now, and that'll be huge. Give people actual jobs that we can pay them to do something that they're passionate about, help spread healthy hydration and fun across the world. That's something that's really important to me, is creating more jobs and giving people cool opportunities. Like I think Soul Juice is a pretty cool product, and I'm a pretty relaxed person, so looking to bring people on that are really smart, that know how to do things a lot better than I do, and scale it from there as well. So a lot of exciting stuff on the growth side, but it just gets harder. That's another thing, is every step it gets a little harder, but it gets more fun too. So there's trade-offs like there is anything in life.
You say things like, and by the way, congratulations on breaking into these new markets. That's super cool.
Thank you.
When you're moving into these new markets, like there's so many things happening at all times. Like you have to be thinking about you breaking into Chicago and then moving into Dallas. And you're constantly thinking, okay, what's next in this piece? What's next? What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to meet? Like, how do you personally set goals for the business? Like, how do you know I'm going to move into this market next? Like, what does your vision creation process look like for you and your business at this stage?
So to set up an item, I'll put it in perspective this way. I have a 600-step checklist. So I go through 600 steps when I want to develop a new brand, just to develop it. So I put a lot of time in planning, but I also, like I tell people, I think it's a Bruce Lee quote, be water. You have to be very adaptable and be able to go with where the product needs to go and what your customers are telling. Customer feedback is the number one thing that every single business person, no matter what business you're in, that's the most important thing in your business. So take the customer feedback and follow that. In terms of choosing new markets, that's why I've chosen those markets specifically, is just that's where our online sales is really pulling us. We spend very little on marketing. I want to say our marketing spends almost zero. since launching, we've really relied on the word of mouth. So I'm really following where our target demographics are. So Chicago, we've had a lot of online sales, people asking for it in stores there. That's one of the reasons we're moving there. St. Louis, I developed the product in St. Louis. That's where I went to school. We have a big following there. So kind of following where the sales are has been important. Organic word of mouth. Like I said, I don't want to spend a lot on marketing. I'm sure there's people that listen to your podcast that don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. Go to where your clients are. Take the easy wins. So go to the ones where people already know about you. Go where the story is easier to tell. So if you're from, like you said, you're from upstate New York, that's probably where you can tell things the best and it can spread the best because people can relate to those kind of things. I'm from Phoenix. That's why we're going to launch there, because it's easier word of mouth.
Cool.
And once we go, it's kind of a blitz of PR and on the ground. Those are my two big marketing kind of spends I believe in. Our PR, so anything in the news kind of get traction. It's easy too because people who write stories are looking for stuff. If you go send them a note like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, like we're pretty small, people like helping people out and writing stories about that. So that's a huge thing. You look at PR, and then on the boots on the ground. So just getting whatever you're trying to do, go to that city, pass out free samples, go talk to people for free, do local podcasts, do local marketing things. If it has to do with health or kids or teaching, go in those circles, go find those people and market yourself and go talk. But yeah, that's kind of how we'll hit a city. We do a ton of sampling, a ton of running around word of mouth marketing and blast PR. And that's kind of the formula we just keep rinsing and repeating with.
I freaking love that. Go where the demand is, listen to your customers, create the word of mouth. That's how you grow organically, right? With a $0 marketing budget. I mean, even Tesla, look at how much they've spent on marketing. Zero. They literally spend, you've never seen a Tesla commercial, guys. You've never seen one. All you see is Elon Musk on Twitter. All you see is him showing up on these big YouTube channels with people who want to talk to him and have conversations. Why do you think he's been on Joe Rogan several times? Why do you think he's been on the Lex Friedman podcast so many times? Like, this man understands that why would I spend money when I can just be the face of the business, right? Like, when you think of Microsoft right now, you might think of Bill Gates, but he's not with the company. Like, who is the head of Microsoft? You don't know. How about even Adidas? You don't know. You can't see the head because it's not led by a charismatic figure such as Elon Musk. And something that I commend you for is you are very much a charismatic figure, especially to the younger demographic like myself, because I relate to you. You're a little bit younger than myself. I'm pretty sure you are. I'm 28. And you relate to the college groups, but you also relate to people who are corporate athletes, people who want that replenishment, who share a similar story. Like, you are very relatable to so many people, but you're also coming into this, and so is everyone else listening right now. You're coming into this world of business at a time where you can spend $0 on marketing, where you don't need a Super Bowl commercial. You don't need to buy TV advertisements. And I remember recently, like 6 months ago, I did a radio advertisement because I did some work with, I'm not going to say their name because the end result isn't great, but I did some work with an advertising business because I spoke to their sales team and part of the payment was in radio ads. And I will never do radio ads again. Never say never, but it created such little traction. And it was like $3,000 in radio ads. And I got a couple leads and I almost made my money back from it, but it was technically given to me as part of payment. So anyways, I could have gone on a podcast and gotten better results, and that would have costed $0. So there's so many ways to spread your message and your product and build brand awareness that doesn't include marketing dollars. And you can become a more charismatic individual. I'd reckon that you've been someone in your life. Like, let me ask you this, Luis. Who were you in high school? What kind of person were you in high school?
I was a very sports oriented individual. So
you
I don't
were a
know.
popular guy.
Yeah, I don't know, not party wise kind of thing, but I was good at sports and that was kind of my focus. So I was mainly hanging out with other people playing sports. If anything, I didn't date very much because I didn't have time. But most of my life has been dedicated to sports or business and just working at that. But I wouldn't say like I didn't take to public speaking. I didn't take to being in front of the camera, that kind of thing. It was more learned. But once you when you have a good product and you believe in what you're doing, it makes it a lot easier, you know, because then you're not worried about, hey, I'm trying to make this look good, or I'm trying. If you're speaking honestly, it's a lot easier to go on and talk. And I know a lot of people have I don't know what percentage it is, but I think public speaking is like the number one. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's higher fear than dying. Like more people
Yeah.
are afraid of public speaking than dying, which I thought very interesting. But that that kind of it is very hard to go talk about things, especially if it's yourself. But if you have a business or a product that other people believe in, like we got on this podcast, how you were talking about Soul Juice, it just makes it easy, you know? So if you have something that's really good, lean on that crutch, you know, talk about how great the product is. You're not really talking about yourself. Think of it that way. Think about the value that you're bringing other people by sharing your product. And I think that'll help people who may have not been in front of the camera as much growing up. I was lucky where being an athlete, you had to learn some, but it hasn't been my forte. And I've definitely had to pick a lot of things up in order to do well. And I'm sure you have too. You now make a living talking on the microphone. I'm sure even if you were good at talking or you talked a lot in school, I'm sure there's different aspects that you weren't used to, you know, that you've had to
Mm-hmm.
get better at that a lot of people just don't notice. It's like, hey, that person's always been good at talking. They don't realize like, hey, talking on camera, talking into a podcast, trying to bring value for people is very different than just talking. So there's different ways to look at it. But yeah, trying to get better every day and learning from people like you.
100%, brother. Yeah. I love that. So one final thing I'd like to ask you is you mentioned that you're looking to expand and bring people into the company and make your hires, which is incredible. So obviously people are listening to this, and I'm curious, do you have an idea of who you're looking for or what kind of role you're looking to create and or fill, or is this something that you're still at the drawing board for? Like, what does that look like in case someone's listening and they're like, dude, I want to add value to a business like this?
So there's two. I'll answer that in two parts. There are a couple things I know I need that I'm hiring for. So like people manage logistics, that kind of thing. There's certain things I am looking for. But something I think is huge, and a lot of my business deals, personal jobs have come from this. If there's something someone sees that I'm not doing well at, DM me and say you want to do that job. I think that's the best way to go about something like this, is if you have a skill set that you think I could use, because I do that all the time. Building food programs for other people, for example, Tasty BuzzFeed. This is a pretty good example. They launched at Walmart with a uh, what's it called, utensil kit. So it was like cooking, like a something to make, like an easy bake oven type thing, and like utensils, and they sold them at Walmart. I reached out to Tasty and I was like, hey, I think you guys should bypass the cooking thing and just make your own food and sell it in the stores. I can do that for you. So that was the value I brought to them. I was like, hey, this is what I think you should do. I can bring this for you, X, Y, and Z. This is what it'll cost you. And I sold them without them even knowing that's what they wanted to do. That's an extreme example of us creating something that launched nationwide at Sam's Club. So it was kind of cool. An idea I just had pinged a company about that it was able to launch. But I highly suggest that. I do that all the time. If there's someone I want to work with or collab with, I just send them a DM like, hey, I think what you're doing is really cool. This is what I can do. I think if we work together, it would be pretty cool. I
Wow.
highly suggest people just trying and shooting your shot like that, because the amount of projects I've had come from it are pretty insane.
Damn. Well said, brother. I absolutely love that. See where you can add value, guys, whether it's with Luis's company or another one that you want to be a part of, or even your own. See where you can add value and make the proposition. Let them know how you can serve them, right? And even take it to the next level if you really want that opportunity, and just start doing it. Like, just start serving them and start helping. I remember when I was the head trainer, people who also wanted to become trainers in the company, I said to them, just start showing up at the training center. Start showing up, because if you're there, I'm not going to tell you to go home, right? And a few people out of 350, one or two people started to show up every single time. And those are the people who became the head trainer in my place once I moved on from that. So just start doing the job and acting the part before you're actually the person in that role, or before you actually possess that title. So that's some business advice, but also career advice for you who are entrepreneurs inside of a company right now.
And it helps you decide if you really want to do it. Like you said, the people that showed up every day ended up being the ones that were successful. And you kind of know when you care about something that much and you feel like you connect to it, you want to keep going. When you wake up in the morning, you want to do that because you're passionate about it, because you want to keep doing it. So if you are super passionate about something like that, go chase it. And there's so many examples. You listed 2, I can list like 2 as well. Like it's like that's what you need to do. So definitely go chase that.
That's right, man. Luis, dude, this has been incredible. So for everyone listening right now, if you're not literally going to souljuice.com and buying a pack of Soul Juice, I don't know what you're thinking, right? Unless you're like, oh, I don't like apple juice. Listen, if you don't like that, try it anyway. Because listen, you can give it to a friend who will like it, right? And then you're helping someone else. So souljuice.com, go grab yourself some Soul Juice, right? Tell your friends about it. I'm not getting paid to say that. I'm saying that because I'm going to buy more because I freaking love this stuff.
And for the listeners, we should have thought of this before, but we can do a code better and give everyone 15% off that listens to this podcast and goes and buys. So we'll do a better, BETTER. I'll get that set up right now, so it's ready to go. Sorry, Brandon. I should have thought of that, but I should have got you
I love the
code before.
spontaneity of it. I love that. People are going to be like, they already planned that, but I promise you didn't. So 15% off. Use code BETTER. I love that. Very cool. So that's going to be in the description, guys. Click the link. Go grab yourself some Soul Juice, right? It's great for anyone who's out there, who's sweating, who's active, who's staying in peak shape. And if you're listening to this, I know that you're doing that because you are an athlete, even if you're not playing sports, right? You're in the corporate or the business arena. So grab yourself some Soul Juice. Luis, it was a freaking pleasure to have you on the show, man. I'm glad that we made it happen. And I'm looking forward to following your journey and having you back on the show as you continue to expand these different markets to share your journey along the way, man. So thank you for your time and congratulations for all that you've accomplished to this point.
Thank you, Brandon. Fan of the podcast. I keep learning from you and your guests. So thank you for doing what you're doing, spreading all the wealth of knowledge, and stoked to be on this, stoked to hear how it turns out. And yeah, looking forward to hearing from the guests. So feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or try the code, try the product.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, man.
This has been a full episode of just right at you business advice from somebody who is operating with a marketing budget that's not in the millions of dollars. Like, he spends little to no money on advertising, yet you're hearing about Soul Juice. I've heard about Soul Juice. People I've worked with have now heard about Soul Juice. Like, he's getting himself into opportunities that allow him to expand his business and further his mission in ways that aren't requiring tons of capital and tons of resources. And if anything, this has inspired me to continue the growth of my own business by thinking in innovative ways. And I hope that this has inspired you in your business as well to look at different ways that you can market without creating the excuse in our mind of, well, I don't have infinite resources. I don't have a trust fund. I don't have money that was given to me. I don't have venture capital. You don't need any of it in this world that we're living in today. And you can find out for yourself by being a consumer and a buyer of Soul Juice. Go buy some, see what the process looks like. Go check out the website, see how everything is being run, and emulate what works in your own business. But grab some Soul Juice because it just tastes really good and it's refreshing as hell. Links are in the description. His social media, Luis Manta's social media profiles are in the description as well. I hope you took a ton out of this conversation. I know I'm talking a lot and rambling right now, but if you did take anything away, share the show with just one person who could use this as well. Some person who's into sports or athletics or business will take a ton out of this conversation. Thank you so much for watching and for being the best part of the Be Better broadcast. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.